What's going on, friend? In this episode, we double guitars 5 ways. And what I land to sing now, we break it down, baby. Alright, thank you so much for being here once again, and remember, as usual, like, subscribe, and do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube so that you and I can stay in touch with each other. Anyway, doubling guitars. If you make music and you record it, chances are that at some point you will have to double guitars. And even though there's many ways to do it, they're all trying to achieve the same goal, which is like having more excitement, more width in your mix, more harmonic content, maybe that wall of sound that people talk about. So some of these methods are going to be a little bit more narrow in the center. Some of them are going to be super spaced out, like maybe like the old Beatles collections, like drum set right here and like the horn right there and like a bass right here and maybe a guitar right there. And it's just like super complicated. But today we're just going to be handling a pair of guitars. So as simple as it can be. So today I'm here to share with you 5 different methods double your guitars. And all these methods are going to achieve something different for you in your productions, so you have to be the person that chooses which one is good for you. I'm going to point out maybe what's good for what, but I'm going to let you decide what you want to do in your own productions. No matter what it is that you're trying to achieve, I hope this helps you. All right, let's get a guitar. Today we're going to be using my Gibson Les Paul Studio because I love the way it sounds. All right, so first things first, let's go into Pro Tools and record a very simple riff that is going to make it really easy for us to hear what we're trying to hear. Here we go. Alright, so there you go. I think that's good enough for this particular example. Let's put this guitar down. Okay, so the first method that we're going to be using is what I like to call the dub plug. And it's basically just what the name says, a plugin that dubs. So let's go check an example. We're going to go right here in Pro Tools where it says pitch shift plugins. And we're going to use, in this case, the Micro Shift by Soundtoys. This is one of my favorite plugins to do this because it does it with a nice character and I really appreciate that. So let's just hear how it sounds. All right, I really like that tone. And it's because it's just like nostalgic, right? It has like that like 80s kind of vibe. And it's got a lot of movement. If you notice, like the sound is just moving from the left to the right. And it's just like little movement, like very subtle. And it still has like a strong signal in the middle. So I feel like it's very nice to like accompany maybe like a singer. And maybe an example that comes to mind is like that song by The Outfield. I Don't Want to Lose Your Love, I think. That kind of sound. So let's just tweak this sound a little bit so that it's a little bit more usable. Let me just make a little loop here. And let's just tweak. See when I do this, how exaggerated the movement gets? And I really hope that you're listening to this on headphones, because if not, you're really missing out on a lot of information that's happening on the stereo field right now. So if you don't have your headphones, go get them right now. Pause the video. All right, so let's just take the settings to something more normal, or like what I was saying in the example that I was thinking, more like a singer with a guitar. I would do something like this. Turn the mix down and just start bringing it up a little bit as I go. I'm going to be singing like some sort of like humming thing just so that we can get an idea. So you can hear it right there. It basically opens the signal a little bit, but we'll still have our center image, which is pretty cool. What would be the con on this? Maybe some people would consider it a little bit synthetic. And I think if you're trying to fool people into believing that there's 2 guitars, it's not going to happen, my friend. But if what you want is 2 guitars, maybe the next method is going to help you a little bit better, which is what I like to call
the twins.
And this method is just literally 2 performances and everything else stays the same. So let's just hear it. I'm going to drag this example right here and I'm going to put it on the left. And then I'm just going to record a pass on the right and see how it sounds. Okay, let me put the guitar down again. And let's just listen back to what we have. I really, really like that sound. And I feel like in this case, it makes the guitar almost feel like a one big wide guitar, right? It doesn't feel like two guitars per se. It just feels like it's like one very even big guitar. And I think that part of this is because since the rigs are exactly the same, that means that the mid-range is going to stay the same, the top end is going to stay the same. So there's going to be a very balanced signal, basically. And when I say balance in this case, I mean in the stereo field. So in short, it's like you're going to have enough highs here, and they're going to be exactly here too, and then mid-range here, and then lows here. All of them exactly the same because it's the same amps. But by having both performances, you have enough differences that it feels a little bit wider. So in this case, I think that's the biggest thing that we achieved. A lot more width and less interference in the center channel. So let's say if you want to have more space for drums or vocals or a bass, maybe this method, it's a little bit better for you. And I feel like one of the biggest pros for this method, let's say if you were to do this in the real world, because all these things that we're doing right now work with amps the exact same way that they work right now with our amp sims. So another pro would be that there's no extra investment. What you have is what you need. You just do it twice. But let's keep this moving and let's go to the third method, which I like to call double trouble. So in this case, we're going to have one guitar, two performances, and two rigs. So let's just hear it. Okay, so what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to open Amplitude. And so far, what we've been using is this Pop Punk Show preset, which I did in this episode right here that you can go watch. In that episode, we did this preset from scratch. We started on the default patch and we tweaked every single thing that we needed to get to this sound. And it was kind of cool because it was like a very walkthrough and it was very detailed. Just look at me right now. Like that kind of video. So if you like that, go watch that after this. And while you're there, go like and subscribe. You're feeling okay? It's a long video, but there's a lot of cool information, so let's hang on. Right, let's keep moving. All right, so for this method, it's crucial to have two different rigs. So let's go to our amps, and we're going to browse through a few different amps so that you can hear the differences it makes. And then in the end, I'm going to choose my favorite, and we're going to go with it and hear how it sounds. Okay, so as it is right now, with the Mark IIIs, this is what we have. So let's start browsing amps. Let's start with this Mark IV. Mark V. Maybe not that one. Let's move on. Let's choose this Plexi, which I already heard and I think is my favorite for this application. So let's just listen to it. So right there, I feel like that sounds really, really good. And right away, you can notice the advantages of using this method. The image just got like so much wider and so much more interesting because I feel like by just choosing a different amp, the different typology and the tubes or whatever they're trying to model makes it sound different enough that I just hear different parts of the chord accentuated. I hear like a total different harmonic structure with the distortion. So overall, I think like it's a way more exciting tone. Okay, let's keep moving. The fourth method, it's what I like to call sharing is caring. And in this case, I call it that because we're going to have two performances, two guitars, but just one rig. So let's get another guitar and record the riff again. Okay, so the other guitar we're going to be using is my PRS SE Custom 2408 because it sounds great. And it also pairs really well with the Les Paul. Let's just hear it. So there you go. Let's put this guitar back and listen to this. Okay. So this is what we have right here. Instantly, I feel like there's a lot more separation in this one. But I still enjoy how even the response is. Because when we were hearing, for example, the Les Paul going through the different amps, the mid-range gets a little bit uneven. And for me, that's exciting, but you can make the argument too that maybe sometimes you don't want that. So I feel like this might be a better method if you're looking for extreme separation, but you still want an even and balanced stereo field. What would be the downside to this? That you need 2 guitars, but you only need 1 rig. So let's say if you're doing it in the real world, you only need 1 amp. So overall, I think this is a great method. But if what you really want is extreme separation, then my friend, you need method number 5, which is what I like to call
the bandmates.
And as you could probably anticipate, this is everything is different. Different guitars, different performances, and different rigs. So let's just hear it. I'm going to select a different playlist right here that I already called PRS, and I'm going to drag the PRS take. Let's mute this channel right here, and let's just hear how it would sound. The PRS through the Plexi and the Les Paul through the Mesa. Let's hear it. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be, right? If you're like in the context of a band and you're trying to make like maybe rock music, this is exactly what you need. Extreme separation. There's almost no crosstalk, which means that there's not going to be any cloudiness in the mid-range or in the bottom end in the center channel where we want to have our vocals and our snare drum, our kick, our bass, maybe our hi-hat. So we appreciate any little bit of space that we can create in that center channel. So for me, this is the best of everything. The problem would be that you need 2 of everything. You need 2 guitars, 2 amps, 2 set of microphones, preamps, everything.
2 of everything.
And of course, you can probably just like keep everything like your preamps and your microphones and everything and just change the heads and the cabinets. But man, that's still a huge investment. So that's a huge con. But now that we have all these ways, why don't we listen to the 5 of them back to back and get some conclusions? All right, let's go. Okay, so that was really, really nice. And as a bonus, just because you've been here for so long, I'm going to give you the method number 6. And this might be the secret sauce that you've been looking for. Let me show you what it is. We're going to grab one of our takes. We're going to duplicate that channel, just the active playlist. We're going to pan it wide. And let's just hear the magic. Oh no! So if you duplicate the tracks, it doesn't work. But what happens if we change the rig? So as you can tell, if you duplicate the same performance and just change the rig, you still have a viable double. And I would say that it's pretty comparable to the dub plug or the first method that we used today, because in theory, it's basically doing the same thing. It's just changing a few things while keeping the image very, very, very tight. I bet you didn't see that one coming, right? Especially when you heard the image collapsing and you thought like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And then I gave you a tip. There's the magic, my friend. Why don't we just go listen to a few conclusions? Let's go. Alright, so after listening to all these sound examples, I think you have a very clear idea on how to double your guitars, right? Basically, like what I was saying in the beginning, none of these methods is wrong. They are just different. And in my case, for example, I use them all. Of course, not all in the same application, but sometimes I want to hear this extreme separation with my takes. Sometimes I want to still have the wideness, but I want to be a little bit more subdued, and I want to have something in the center channel that's still hugging my vocal. And if I can do it with only one guitar and an effect, I'd rather do that than cut like a bunch of instruments, because musically it's still going to have the same impact. But like I was saying, there's going to be other times that maybe I want to have something that feels a little bit more random, a little bit wider, but still like super even. And in that case, I will probably use the twins. So like I'm saying, I can ramble here on and on and on, coming up with hypotheses of what we can do and what thing we can use where. But the best thing that you can do is go try them all in your productions and then let me know what you're feeling. But before I keep talking too much, remember, like if you like this video, definitely subscribe, stay warm, stay safe, go to the comment section down below and let me know what you think. Other than that, I'm out, my friend. Thank you for being here again.